You want to know how I wound up fighting a war with a homeowners association over land? My grandparents left me, I'll tell you. But fair warning, it's got all the drama you'd expect, maybe more. It started with me standing there, fists clenched, looking out at 30 houses, 30 built smack on top of the property that'd been in my family since the 80s, and this woman, Linda Patterson, strutting over and telling me I was trespassing on my own land. You want to talk about surreal? She stared me down like I was some grifter off the street, not the guy whose name was on every original deed and map she was desperate to ignore. And the wildest part? She didn't just order me off. She mounted a full-scale campaign to get everyone in Sunset Hills to think I was a crook. She figured if she yelled fraud loud enough, the truth would just disappear. But I wasn't going anywhere. My name's David Mitchell, and before this mess, I spent 8 years as the city's senior land inspector. Yeah, I might look like a regular guy in jeans and a flannel, but I know land law backward and forward. I'd just left my job to care for my grandparents, figured the least I could do was protect what they left me. Now Linda, she'd been running Sunset Hills HOA like her own little kingdom, expanding it from 45 to 75 homes, all luxury now, thanks to her, or so she'd tell you. Only problem, her empire spilled right onto my 2.3 acres, all perfectly outlined in every legal record since 1987. So when I rolled up measuring wheel in hand, Linda swooped in. "Excuse me, you can't be here. This is private property." I flashed the inheritance papers calm as I could, but she just scoffed. "Old paperwork doesn't matter. We have city permits." Wouldn't even look at the survey report when I asked. She called it confidential HOA business. Yeah, right. Next thing I know, a thick letter lands on my doorstep from the HOA's lawyers, full of legalese, accusing me of harassment, stalking, even fraud, said I was a threat to community safety. That got under my skin. But it was when Linda held an emergency meeting and, I kid you not, showed my picture to everyone calling me a dangerous con artist, that's when it got personal. Only not everyone was buying it. Margaret Wilson, one of the old-timers, pulled me aside. "David, I remember your granddad walking his dog on this land every morning. Linda knows the original boundary, she just won't say it. That was my first break." You'd think that'd be enough drama, but Linda doubled down. Private security started shadowing me every time I came by to take measurements, reciting "you need to leave" like robots. So I marked out the original boundaries with proper no trespassing signs. Couldn't have looked more official. 2 hours later, Linda's there with her white blazer and a maintenance crew barking, "Remove these illegal signs." I stood my ground, recording everything on my phone, and when I pressed her, she slipped up, started rambling about easement issues, which, if you know land, basically means you're building on property you don't own. She was rattled. After that, Linda went nuclear, posting my photo all over their social page, calling me a scammer. The comments were brutal, but I kept digging. She set up this community protection forum, invited the cops, a local news crew, packed the clubhouse, stood there giving a PowerPoint about land fraud, dropping my picture on a slide labeled "Current Threat Assessment." It was like watching my own public execution. She was smooth, too. Never directly answered questions about boundaries, just kept insisting everything was legal. But here's the twist. Tom Bradley, a board member, asked about development timelines, and Linda started describing how the community grew from 45 lots and had boundary concerns in the east, admitted it in front of everyone. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I went straight to City Hall to my old boss, Janet. We dug into records and found out that the permits for those 30 houses were based on a survey done 6 months after construction started by, you guessed it, Tom Bradley. No explanation for why the boundaries had changed, just a series of emails from Linda to a city inspector expediting approvals with additional compensation. It was textbook bribery. But here's where it gets wild. Margaret, that same neighbor, called me shaking. Said she'd been recording HOA meetings for years. She invited me over and played a tape, Linda telling Tom, "Make sure the eastern lots pass inspection, that extra 30 grand will be worth it. No one will question the boundaries once the houses are built." She even had photos of the empty lot before they started pouring foundations. My grandparents' land, clear as day. I gathered it all, audio photos. The original surveys even found out that Inspector Hayes had bought a boat and paid off his mortgage right after the eastern expansion got approved. That's when I set my trap. Called Linda, asked for a settlement meeting. She showed up confident, all smiles, pushing a goodwill offer across the table, 50 grand if I'd walk away. I let her talk, let her admit to paperwork adjustments and expediting fees, all recorded by Margaret at the next table. When I told her the FBI would be coming, she paled, sputtering denials, but it was too late. Linda made her last desperate move that night, tried to break into the city office and destroy the original documents, got herself arrested on camera at 3 a.m. Next morning, every local station had a van outside Sunset Hills. Residents were furious, demanding answers. Mark Stevens, Linda's husband and deputy president, tried to spin it, called me an opportunist. I stood up, showed the original maps, played the tapes, put up the financial records, proved they'd stolen millions from the community, paid bribes, forged signatures, and funneled contracts to Mark's own company. When the FBI agent came in, everyone just froze. Mark was cuffed right there in front of his neighbors. You could feel the whole room's anger turning into something else, relief, maybe disbelief. Here's the kicker: I promised them I wouldn't push for mass evictions. Set up a community land trust, slashed their fees, and made every dollar go into actual improvements instead of someone's pocket. The state passed a law requiring independent audits for all big developments. Margaret got elected HOA president, put everything online, let residents veto big spending, real democracy for once. Last week I stood where the old HOA office used to be. Now a garden, kids on swings, neighbors chatting, a plaque honoring my grandparents' legacy. Margaret joined me, hands dirty from planting, and she laughed. Linda always said this place needed strong leadership. She just never got what that really meant. And standing there looking at everything we'd rebuilt, I thought about what my grandparents taught me. Land isn't just property. It's your story, your community, your word. Sometimes you fight for it not out of anger or revenge, but because it's the right thing to do. So tell me, was I wrong to go this far? Or is it about time people like Linda learned you can't hide behind a white blazer and a phony smile forever? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your take below. Where do you draw the line between justice and keeping the peace in a community?